All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to do something a little different today. And before I really get into that, I'm sure you saw that I'm talking about prepping or preparing. And I want to get into that. Before I do, I want to say a few things that I've noticed lately going on in the news. If you look around, and you look at the news, you'll see there are a lot of countries right now that are basically controlling the supply of food to slow down food shortages. This has happened in different places. Germany and France have done different things. Also, our president has admitted that there's going to be some food concerns, supply chain concerns. There's been supply chain issues with everything else, literally, and sooner or later it's going to catch up with food. I saw a mention of a person speaking at the UN saying that the world has 10 weeks supply of flour, and I'm not sure how they even figure such things out or what, but all of this is adding up to food supply issues could be around the corner. We've been talking about it for a while. If you check out Calvary Chapel Signal Hills webpage and you find some of the last few shows that were done on there with Pastor James and Monkey Works, he's talking about it, and he's mentioned all that's going on, and man, it's getting crazy. So I'm telling you that you need to think about and pray about seriously if you should be storing up some food. Okay, and today I'm going to give you the bare minimum, some basic stuff to think about when you are thinking about preparing food. I'm not an expert at this. I'm not like some survival guy. And I have done a little bit of research. Normally, things like this, I research a ton. But honestly, you don't have to do a ton of research to understand some of the basics, okay? And what everybody says generally when they're talking about stocking up, they always go to two main things to stock up on, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And those two main things are beans and rice. And the main reason is you can get a lot of it into a small amount of space, relatively speaking, and it's affordable. Okay, and besides the supply chain, I just want to go back to that real quick. There are other reasons to stock up, okay? That's something else to consider with emergencies, disasters. If you live in California, earthquakes are a big thing. Who knows the impacts of that, civil unrest, all of these things, they could keep you from being able to have groceries for a time. I mean, even when you look at the beginning of pandemic and all that, store shelves were getting bought up. So you just have to look at the reality and get ahead of it, okay? And so I'm going to show you with beans and rice the basic method, okay? And I have here some black beans. This is a bag of black beans. Here where I live in California, this is, I don't know, a couple bucks, $3 maybe. Not a lot of money tied up in this bag, okay? This is something that you would have on your shelf. You'd have a bag of this on your shelf. And the thing about this that's important to note, this bag right here, if you look at it, the expiration date is May of next year. So right now, this is good for 1 year. Okay, you buy it in the store, and it's good for a year. Okay, same with rice. And I've got now this is a 5-pound bag, but literally I've seen 5-pound bags of rice for $5, at least here. I know other people, I'm going to get blown up in the comments like, That cost me $12 or whatever. And also consider where you're buying this stuff. Shop around, okay? Because you can often find larger quantities like this. This is not that much. Well, I mean, there's 6 of us in my family, so this is not that much for us. But it doesn't cost a lot of money, okay? I don't want to make you guys think I'm being mean here, but listen, it's worth saving a little cash here or there. I know a lot of people are on fixed incomes. I'm going to address that later on. Or they're they're really on a shoestring budget. Okay. But I don't think that's a majority of the people. Okay. There are people here, and you know it, pray about it, ask God for wisdom, ask God for provision. Maybe you can go to a food bank and get some of this stuff for free. Or, ask around. I don't know. But for those, I know that the people are in that case, and I'm just telling you to think about it and pray about it, and bring your concern to the Lord about this. But for the rest of you, I'm just saying, stop whining and complaining. Okay, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. Just tell me that. That's fine. And if you are going to do it, stop complaining about it. Just say, okay, yeah, I think it's a good idea, and listen to my advice. This is what you do. On your shelf, wherever your pantry is, you're going to have a bag like this, okay? Buy 5 or 6 of these, okay? Spend $15 or $20, and then stack them all up. Stack them up based on their expiration dates, okay? And then when you use the top bag, okay, you're going to go buy a new one, and that new one is going to be at the bottom. Not when you use all of those, but just when you use the first one. You're going to keep that stack full, okay? I know this. You're going to have to figure out, okay, we always need 6 bags there, or 7 bags, or however many it is, but you're going to keep that stack full, and you're going to keep putting the new ones on the bottom. So in essence, these aren't going to expire. Okay, the reason that is because you're using them. Okay, and that's another point, and something that I needed to say at some point here. But listen, if you're buying beans and rice and you never ever cook beans and rice, and then there's an emergency, you're gonna have a rough time. Okay, you're gonna have a rough time because it's gonna taste like garbage because you've never cooked it before. You're not gonna know how to do it. You're gonna be scrambling. So you should start eating these things. You should start eating beans and rice once a week or once every other week. Have a very basic meal of beans and rice, okay, so that you're familiar with that, and everybody in your household, if there's more than one person, or you don't go into shock when you have beans and rice, okay, and you're like, oh, what did I get myself into, okay. But so you get your beans, you get your bags of beans, you just stack them up in there, and the newest one is on the bottom. Okay, so you use the oldest one first, and then you replace it, and that new one goes on the bottom. And that way, you always have a supply of these things that's not going bad. Okay, it's not. Okay, how do we do this? It's not put them in buckets underground or anything weird, okay? That's the basic way, and it's not expensive. You could stock up your beans and rice, and that's not going to cost you a lot of money. Okay, my cat's doing some crazy stuff over here. So the next thing, there's other ways. So you can just do that, and that might be enough. If you want it, get further ahead, you could do something like this. Let me get this. We took that, and we got that, and we put that into a food saver. You can see these devices on anywhere you go. Basically, that's like Walmart, Sam's Club, probably online, Amazon. All of these places sell things like this, and you buy these bags, you put the food in there, and then it sucks all of the air out of it. The food saver extends how long that this food is good for, because it's removing the oxygen, and that prevents bugs from living in there. Okay, I'm just going to say something. I'm going to say something gnarly to you people. If you get into an emergency situation and you have rice, you have beans, and you start getting bugs in them, you can still eat them, okay? And you can eat the bugs, actually. That you might get that desperate at some point, and you'll be thankful to have rice, even though there's, some things. Hopefully that never happens. I'm with you on that, but yeah. So anyways, this will extend the life of this. 5 to 7 years is what nobody really has solid data on it, because there's some variables here. And you're going to see online, you're going to see a lot of people kind of talking down about the food saver. And the reason for that is because it's not controlled by them. And it's the process is not guaranteed. If you do it right, it should get 5 to 7 years out of this. And oh my word, sorry guys, my cats are going nuts. So 5 to 7 years from the food saver. Now there's other things you can do. You can go online and you can buy these Mylar bags. They do a very similar thing. You use the Mylar bags, and then you put a packet in there that is an oxygen absorber. Okay, I haven't done that here yet, but I'm planning on doing it in the near future. And you just pour, like you'd pour the rice in there, then you drop the oxygen absorber in there and seal that bag shut. And then you can buy 5-gallon bags, you can buy 1, 2-gallon bags, and smaller bags. Those will take a rice out to like the 25-year, 30-year mark. So long-term storage. And I think, you have to think about what you're preparing for and what you need, okay? And so if you're looking like, yeah, we need to have a large amount of food and we want to have some long-term, great. That's a great way to do it. Any of the stuff that you're storing, though, I just want to make a note. It needs to be out of the sunlight, okay? It needs to not be somewhere where it's getting exposed to moisture, because any of this, like over years, this moisture can get through it. So if it's being exposed to moisture, that's not a good thing, okay? It won't last as long. And there's a few other things that you need to think about when you're thinking about what you're going to stock up on, okay? You need to think about, first of all, you need to think about the reality that what you're used to, like if you're like me and you're eating at In-N-Out every other day or something like that, this is not going to taste that good, okay? You need to have salt, you need to have pepper, you need to have a way to get some flavor into this. Think that through, and those things you should have on hand too. Maybe some beef bouillon or something to get flavor into this. Don't stock up on, we've stocked up on some like canned meat, like canned ham or something, but not large quantities. That stuff takes up a ton of space. It's super heavy. You don't want large quantities of that. We just have enough so that in a situation we can add a little bit of that to the rice and have some protein, have something so that it's not just white rice every day that tastes like nothing. Okay. We're also, growing, my wife planted a garden, and she's building up a garden for the specific reason of having things like that. Fresh things are going to give you a lot of strength, give you a lot of minerals and proteins. And that's another thing. When you buy salt, buy some good quality salt. That's one thing I spent money on, buying some Celtic salt. That's as far as I know, and probably somebody out here has a different opinion, but the Celtic sea salt has some of the highest mineral content out there for salt, and that's important. If you've ever gone on an extreme diet, like I've done a few things like this in my life. And for example, there was a time where I drank only water. I did an only water fast, and all of my muscles cramped up. And somebody told me a lot of that has to do with salt content changing in your system. So you need to realize that having salt is going to be an important thing, and then getting some flavor into this stuff is going to be an important thing. So whatever you can do, like some soup mixes or something, there's dehydrated things that you can buy that you could just add to this and rehydrate it to give it a little bit of flavor. That's going to go a long way in all of this stuff. Some of the other things, I made a few notes because I didn't want to leave anything out. You need to think ahead about this, okay, this reality. Your medicine, whatever medicines that you take regularly, you need to make sure that you're ahead of the game on that stuff, okay? That's just wisdom, okay? You could write me off for whatever conspiracy and you think, end of the world, blah, blah, blah. Okay, look, it's still wise to be ahead of the game on that and to have some, and you're going to use the same principles, right? You're going to get the new stuff and you're going to use the old stuff, right? Or use the old stuff, have a certain amount of buffer that you never run out. So you're 3 months ahead, and when you get into that, it gets replaced and you'll always have some on the shelf. You need to think that through. But also other medicines, it's wise to have some pain relievers on hand for that time, like just to be ahead of that, because if things get sideways somewhere in this country or whatever, you're gonna need to have pain relievers. You might not be able to find that stuff, and if somebody gets hurt, that's going to go a long way. Also, some personal hygiene stuff. Okay, it's just a good idea to have some on hand. We just bought a little bit of extra. You can buy some extra toothbrushes. That's something that's like really important. Toothbrushes and toothpaste, we just have some extra. We bought it, and then, it's stashed, and we'll use that. And again, we'll replace it. No big deal, right? It's not like you walk over to our house and we have the Fort Knox filled with stuff there. That's not how we're doing it, okay? But you need to think these things through, because when that time comes, if something goes down and you're without, it might be very hard to get your hands on some toothpaste, okay? And here's the tip: in dire situations, you can use table salt. But anyways, that's another story. Okay. Something else, one thing that you really need to think about, though, probably the most important thing out of all of this, is what's going to happen with water. And, do you have some water filtration? Do you have a water filtration unit? Or a way, if the water supply gets bad, that it gets contaminated somehow, what's your plan there? Okay. And, this is also the most difficult thing to figure out. Okay. But it's probably the most important. And, I think, when it comes to natural disasters, this is really where a lot of people end up getting really sick, because they've never planned ahead for a natural disaster. They're not thinking about water supply. They're not thinking about what they're going to do. And look, there's some really inexpensive, simple things. There's a thing out there called the Life Straw, which is just literally, it's like a tube that's filled with carbon water filter. And that's, having some of those on hand is better than nothing. Okay, they're not expensive. Something like that could literally save your life in a certain situation. But I don't think that is necessarily the best option. It's something every person has to evaluate this based on their situation and what they're looking at. So you might want something a little more comprehensive. You might want to have some better ideas than just a Life Straw. Something to think about. And again, here's one last thing that I want to talk about. I think I've crossed everything off my list. Also, if you have animals, you need to think about stocking up a little bit on your animals. Like, get ahead on their food too. Just do the same exact thing. Have an extra bag. And then maybe get to the point where you have a couple extra bags, because if those animals are completely reliant on you to feed them, and they don't they don't have the skill to survive without you, then you kind of owe it to them to stock up on that stuff. I know, some indoor outdoor cats, they probably could survive just fine wandering around and killing things. But for the type of animals that can't do that, then you need to think ahead on that, and you need to prepare for those animals too. You need to have some food, and again, just do the same thing. Have extra, and just keep replenishing that supply. So I'm sure that this is a lot. It's a lot of info. I've tried to keep it simple. I think probably there's a lot of people with a lot of great ideas out there. You could do a lot of research, and that will help. If you're concerned about it, my advice to you is the first thing you need to do is take some time and to pray about it and ask the Lord, okay, what should I be doing here? Ask for wisdom in that regard. I would strongly encourage everybody to start, even with some basics though. If you had, an extra 10 pounds of rice and 5 pounds of beans on hand in your house, that's something that's going to get you through for a little bit. But I would really pray about, okay, what do I need to do here, Lord? How much do I need to be prepared for? How many supplies should I have on hand? And then start doing your research. I would pray about it first, though, because it's like anything else. You're going to find people out there that basically are going to tell you, set aside a lot of space for a lot of food. And there's some people that are, really preparing to live like for 5 years off grid during the apocalypse or whatever, So you need to pray about it, and you need to act on what you believe is a wise thing to do. Okay. And I'm putting this video out because I think this is the time. There's never been a time in my life where I thought this could be a game changer for people, and I wanted to put this out to everybody that watches my videos. It's really time to seriously consider this, and take the time to pray, prepare, think things through, be serious about it, because I don't know, it's just a hunch. I've seen too many things mentioned all over in the news, everything else, that if we don't have, and you know what, maybe it doesn't happen, praise God. Okay. That I'm game for that. We'll still use the rice that we bought, right? It might take us a while because we stocked up a little bit, but it doesn't mean it's off limits. We'll make our way through it, So anyways, I hope that's a blessing to you. Feel free to leave me a comment if you have, whatever ideas that you have that maybe I missed. That's great. You can leave them in the comments. I will read them. I don't know how many other people read them, but also, I'm sure a lot of people that watch this know people that have a lot of good insights into this. This is the basics, and the only reason I'm doing this is because I'm hoping that there are people that watch my videos that haven't really taken time to think this through, or think how they could kind of get started in a simple way. So if you have anything that you want to throw in there, that's what the comments are for. And if it's a blessing to you, great. Leave a comment on that too. And I hope that you have a great day. May the Lord richly bless you.